So forgive me, I'm going to ask a personal question.
Sure.
I mean, if anybody knows any budding artists, they know how difficult it is in our times. Like, artists are really underappreciated. It's very hard to make a living as an artist. And so I was wondering if, in your life, like, did you have a period where you had to try to make a living through other means, and did you have a point where you sort of were able to then focus on your art, or has it always been easy, or like just your experience with your art?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's definitely not always been easy. You know, there's this saying, if you do what you love for a living, you'll never work a day in your life. You heard that? That person's a liar. That's not true at all. And you know, the term starving artist. And you know, it's interesting because I reflect on so many artists actually convert to Islam, especially musicians. In America, it's very common, and maybe other places, maybe Australia as well. But it's funny because then all these musicians and artists enter Islam, and people are like, no music, no art, right? And you're ashamed if you're not a doctor or engineer, right? And I was wondering why, and one of my friends who used to be a jazz musician, now he's an imam, he told me, he said, look, think about it, musicians are people that devote themselves to the unseen. So they have a dhawq, you have a taste that there's something more. You tap into something beyond yourself, no doubt. And artists tend to have that. And I feel like Allah was like, I have enough doctors and engineers in my ummah, like, bring the artists. But anyway, and artists they don't become the violent extremists. It's always engineers or doctors, if you notice. It's weird. They always like have a Western scientific background. Anyway. So yeah, it's difficult. And you know, I used to paint houses while I was doing my art to make money. I used to teach middle school. I taught 6th and 7th grade while I was doing my art. Any number of things. I worked at Tatleef Collective and things like that. I've had to make a lot of sacrifices in my life on how I live. You know, living in like the most violent, crime-infested areas in America, in West Oakland, in a warehouse, this like artist live workspace where like it's not even wired correctly. It's a safety hazard. Like the city actually shut us down and kicked us out. That literally you know what I mean? Like, and like outside is like, it's not safe to go outside at night. You know what I mean? So yeah. I mean, I never talk about this stuff, but I'm glad you asked. And even to this day, it's like, this is a labor of love. This is a labor of serving my teachers, you know, because alhamdulillah, I am in the small percentage of people that are considered like successful with their art. And it's not easy for me still. You know what I mean? I have to make huge sacrifices as far as my life, you know, how I live and all these things. But at the end of the day, you know, you know, when I feel like I'm, you know, writing or when I'm inspired, like there's nothing in the world that's better than it for me. So, khalas, Allah does with me what He wills from this point on. Like this, I'm in the game till the end, inshallah. But it's a good point, and people should support artists. We really should, not just me. Like, support me, but like support any artist you love. Like really support them, and it's very important. And unfortunately, in the Muslim community, very few people see it. And I mean, like think about it. Every important museum in the world, they have a huge section for Islamic art. But these things are dying and the Muslims love to talk. They love our art, but we're not supporting the last great calligraphers, the last great traditional musicians, the last great traditional architects or whatever. So we need to, you know, the great carpet weavers or whatever. These are the arts of Islam, you know, so it's very important, and it relates to the human soul. You know, when we lose appreciation for art, it's because our hearts are dying. It's a sign of the death of a heart, you know. So Allah help us, inshallah.